So is it really up to me? That's the talk title for today. Is it really up to me? Today we're actually wrapping up. It is actually the last Sunday of the month. And we're wrapping up our theme, which was going in and up before going out. Meaning that before we move into doing out in the world, we go inward and upward to anchor ourselves in source and in the divine wisdom, freedom, love, joy, peace, and abundance of the source that lives within each and every one of us. Knowing that when we do that first, we pave the way, so to speak, for our experience out there. And this is a great quote from Leonard Jackson. The only way out is in, and I'm going to add, and up. So far this month, we've done our 7 ups, and we've gone up, up, and away. Who had that song from last week in your mind all week long? I did. We listened to the Fifth Dimension song, Up, Up, and Away. Now the rest of you can comment for the next week. Okay. A little earworm there, right? All right. Today we bring this topic to a close by asking the question, is it really up to me? Robert Schuller, who remembers Robert Schuller? We've all heard of Robert Schuller. He was the former minister of the famous Crystal Cathedral in California. And while he wasn't exactly considered a New Thoughter, in the organization of New Thought, he sure talked like one, okay? And he wrote a book that was titled, If It's Going to Be, It's Up to Me. And I actually have that book because my mother belonged to that church. And so she bought a lot of his books and had a lot of, watched him every Sunday on TV. And actually was she was living in Southern California. They had a drive-in theater. And they built the church there, but they kept the theater part. I think it's gone now. But you could go and put the little speaker in and she thought that was just great because they could bring their dogs and their cups of coffee and sit out there and listen to the sermon on the little speaker. But then it got cozier in your own living room when it was on TV. So anyway, our question for today, is it really up to me? Only up to me? In answering that question, we might just unravel a seeming paradox of our new thought teachings. You're probably familiar with the 4 levels of consciousness growth. Then this is something I've covered that was written by Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith. He's with the Agape Church in Southern California. We have discussed them in depth, and I'm sure we will again. But his four approaches are why me, by me, through me, and as me. Does that sound familiar? Remember those? Very often, and in subtle and unconscious ways, we get hung up in the by me stage. And no disrespect to Robert Schuller, but the title of If It's Going to Be, It's Up to Me falls into that mindset of the by me. I have to do it all. I haven't read that book. I've just seen it on my shelf. And now I'm wondering why I have it if I'm not going to read it. But that's a whole nother story. So I don't know exactly what it contains, but we're just kind of focusing on the title of that. The mindset is one where we think that we have to do it all by ourselves. We think that whatever work is to be done, we have to do it, right? We have to make something happen. Through the power of our will, through our fortitude, even our spiritual strength, we have to make it happen. And I'm all alone in doing that, right? That's our belief. It all falls on me. Remember the story of the woman who was warming up before jogging? Remember, I think I've told this before, I'm sure. She was standing a few feet from a large tree, and she, was stretching her calf muscles. You know how you do that? You kind of push on the tree to stretch your calf. Okay, well, she was in the middle of this standard ritual, and it's a ritual that most runners out there do because they want to keep their muscles limber. And a passerby came by, this young man, and he stopped, and he turned, and he shook his head. He says, "Lady, you'll be there forever doing it that way. Use a saw." She's pushing up against a tree. How many of us feel that way sometimes about solving our challenges or manifesting our dreams? How many of us feel like we're just pushing and pushing and pushing and nothing is happening? Nothing's budging. Now, let's be clear. There really is something for us to do. In fact, there are several things for us to do. And there's one thing, and it's the big thing. It's a big thing that is not ours to do, over which we have no control. And for those of you who love to have control, I'm going to say that again. There is one thing, and it's a biggie, that is not ours to do and over which we have absolutely no control. And that one thing that is not ours to do and over which we have absolutely no control, take a deep breath, is the outcome. So say with me, I have no control over the outcome. Let's one more time. I have no control over the outcome. We can do our work. We can not have control over how it's going to look, right? So after my talk this morning, we're going to sing a song, and we have the words out there, and Barb will pass them around. And it's by Daniel Nahmod, who's just an amazing musician. And this song is titled Planting Seeds. And the words of the song just really say this idea perfectly. It addresses what is ours to do and what it isn't ours to do. And they go like this. I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears, scattering them all around. Guess it's what I'm supposed to do with my years. Funny thing is, I may know what I've planted, but never what will show. It always seems to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what is meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I always find out in the end it was never really up to me. Funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems to be that life is looking out for me. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. So there it is. We'll sing that song in just a little bit. So here is what it is up for us to do, okay? It is absolutely up to us first to decide what seeds to plant. That's where we get to choose. What seeds are we going to plant? We go inward and upward through visioning to get a clear idea of what that is. To listen to our inner nudging, whether they come from divine urges or divine discontent, because they're both equally important. They're both urging us to make a change, right? A different choice. Then it is completely up to us to plant the seeds. We plant those seeds through our prayer work, our affirmative prayer, our affirmations, our visioning, our treasure mapping, our work in consciousness within, our work within. It is exclusively up to us to water and nurture the garden, not with our sweat and tears, but by tending to the vision or idea, by reading and feeling into our vision. There's that feeling part. We can't just state it intellectually, we also have to feel it by mentally putting ourselves in it. It is totally up to us to weed the garden, not by not allowing doubts or negative thoughts or discouragement to enter into our consciousness. Standing guard in our minds to not let those little, well, who do you think you are, thoughts come in. Or, well, somebody just said that I can't do this. Am I going to believe that? Or, wow, this is going to be really... No, we have to stand guard of those thoughts. This is a beautiful passage from someone here's favorite book, Suzanne, and that book is?
Thing Called You.
Yeah, This Thing Called You. There you go. Just as you watch your garden, that foreign seed shall not fall into it, producing a growth of undesirable plants, so you must refuse entrance to any thoughts you do not wish to see manifested in your life. Guard well this garden of your mind. It is God's garden of your soul. It is your garden of Eden, wherein may grow your fondest desires and hopes, blossoming into fulfillment. Or, if you permit, the weeds of destruction, fear, and doubt will choke out the beauty of hope until despair alone remains. Watch carefully then this garden of your soul. Plant there only seeds of happiness, of joy, of peace, and of goodwill. It may be necessary to cultivate your garden, to uproot the weeds and straighten out the rows, planting new seeds, new ideas, broader visions, and deeper realizations of life. New aspirations must be bedded here, fertilized with the fervor of hope, the conviction of faith, the beauty of wholeness, and the quietness of peace. Watch our garden carefully. Guard it patiently, waiting for a new harvest, for you shall reap what you have sown. He writes so eloquently. I love Dr. Ernest Holmes. And yes, you shall reap what you have sown, but that part is the part that is not up to us. What actually grows is not up to us. That is out of our hands. Reverend Kay sat on a practitioner oral panel, and she told me this story recently. She said one of the questions she was asked about the prospective practitioners, she was asked to ask, was about the prospective practitioner's relationship with money. She loved the answer that this young man gave, and I liked it enough that I wanted to write it down. I thought it was brilliant. He said, "When I realized it was none of my business where my good comes from, or whether it even comes at all, when I let go of thinking it had to come from here or there, and when I quit stewing about whether I had enough and just did what I knew to do, all of a sudden I was flooded with abundance." Wow. Wow. It's amazing the wisdom that is shared when we share our stories like that. It's wonderful. And that takes us to another thing that is up for us to do. And it is the first time we've gone outside ourselves. All the rest have been internal. We do whatever work in the world is ours to do. From the place of inner guidance, trusting, which is another internal activity, that we are being infinitely supported by the universe. We do what work is ours to do, knowing that we are divinely supported by the universe. Ernest Holmes writes, "Turning to the one with a complete abandonment and in absolute trust, we will find that we are already saved, already healed, and already prospered." The kingdom's already been given, right? It's just ours to take, ours to accept. And therein lies the rub, oftentimes, doesn't it? It can be so hard for us to do that, to turn with complete abandon. It can be difficult at times to have as much trust in God to fill us up as we have in the air to fill our lungs with oxygen. I'm sure you're familiar with this wonderful poem that describes a situation so perfectly. It's called Let Go and Let God. Have you heard this poem? Yeah. As children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I've brought my broken dreams to God because God was my friend. But then, instead of leaving him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last I snatched them back and cried, "How can you be so slow?" "My child," God said, "what could I do? You never did let go." It's up to us to let go. It's up to us to let go. And that, of course, is the final and most important, so very important step in our spiritual mind treatments, our 5 steps to spiritual mind or affirmative prayer. Of that, Dr. John B. Waterhouse, in his book, The 5 Steps to Freedom, wrote, "When you release your treatment, when you release your prayer, you are releasing the creative process into full expression. All of Spirit is now available to provide unlimited combinations of events, participants, circumstances, and possibilities that will work in divine order to manifest whatever you have claimed in truth. Most of this potential exists beyond our ability to imagine. It occurs in precise balance and timing to provide the perfect outpicturing of your demonstration. By releasing, you are opening up and allowing all the power and potential of divine spirit to support you and to express your desires into physical form." Wow. It's powerful. So, is it really up to me if it's going to be? That's the question. Well, yes and absolutely no. Yes, we have to do our parts that we've explored this morning. We have our parts to do. We know what we have to do. Those things are absolutely and completely up to us. And no, the outcome is absolutely not up to us. It will be what it will be. But as Daniel's great song says, funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems to be that life is looking out for me. I want us to do something this morning. It's a bit of a ritual, but in alignment with our theme of going in and up. And this will be an internal ritual rather than an external one. So if you choose, close your eyes and see yourself as you are today with whatever is going on for you now. If there is a challenge in your life, see it. If there is a dream you are working on but is not quite here yet, visualize it, see it. get a good picture in your mind of that. And when you do, place your non-dominant hand over your heart. Everybody have that vision? Do you have that vision? Okay, let that be a symbolic gesture of love and acceptance. Simply love and accept yourself right where you are, right here and right now. Take a couple of deep breaths and just love and accept. Now, keeping your hand over your heart and continuing to love and accept you right where you are, at the same time, see yourself down the road. See yourself with the issue completely addressed, happy and joyful, with the dream fully manifested, and you're now excited about a bigger one. You are the you came here to be, sharing your gifts, being the light. Get a picture of yourself. And that you has a great deal of wisdom and knowledge, more than the you of today. When you really see yourself as that person, use your dominant hand to represent that you and place it on top of the other. Have your current self ask any question you want to the future you. I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes here so you can have a little dialogue within. Okay, now our final step. Bring your hands together, still at your heart, and lace your fingers together. In this lacing together, consciously integrate the two, recognizing that you already are, that which you desire to be. Feel empowered, feel uplifted, feel inspired, feel enlightened, feel energized, feel the joy. And when you do, separate your hands and raise your arms and chin up nice and high. And just hold them there in celebration and acceptance. And if you really want to empower this moment, stand up.
Oh my goodness.
Know with me now that we have planted some powerful seeds this morning. And with this knowledge, we let go of the outcome because we trust in this power for good that is greater than we are. And we know that as we consciously use it, we are co-creating something beautiful. And so it is.
Yes.
All right.